Hi, I'm Danny and these are my Diecast Disasters. In this video I'm going to be customising a Matchbox romping rabbit. This was sent to me by my #1 contributor Nathan in Australia. I had a parcel arrive from him just a couple of days ago actually, and I haven't even let him know it has arrived yet, so hopefully this will be a bit of a surprise to see this car done up. And once I finish customising the car, I'm going to be making a diorama base for it of a muddy off-road track. So let's take a closer look at our little romping rabbit off of the turntable. These were produced from 1982 until 1986. It's basically just a golf rabbit on top of a Bigfoot sort of four-wheel drive chassis. This example's got your classic playware on it. The paint and tampos are chipped away. It's got a nice metal base on it. Let's get into it by taking the car apart. There's only one rivet post to drill out and then some tabs at the back. The tabs are actually rear lights as well. There we go, now it's apart. I can use some poly stripper to remove the paint from the castings. Here they are with the paint stripped off. You can see there's a little bit of sort of oxidation thing going on with the paint and the castings here. Sometimes happens on these older castings. Might even have just had something spilled on it over the years, but it's not really a problem. It'll mostly come off with the wire brush. And here they are after a bit of a burnishing. You can see there's a little bit of corrosion here and there. I'm not going to worry about it on the base, but the body here is also quite bad, so I'll just give that a quick sand. Just using a 1200 grit sandpaper here. I'm not going to sand too much because I really don't want to remove any of the details, but I'll take off the worst of those rough panels, surfaces. There's also a bit of a blob above the door here. I'm going to grind that off with a straight burr on my rotary tool. There we go, that's looking a little bit smoother. Now I can move on and paint it. So I'm going to start out with a coat of white. There we go. Now I am going to apply a little bit of masking. I'm just going to mask off a diagonal across the bonnet and the front door there. And then I paint the rest of the car in yellow. I'll just remove the masking here. Hopefully it's come out with a nice line. And there we go, that's looking pretty tidy. Tidy enough for me anyway. It's going to be quite heavily weathered later on. So I finish it off with a little bit of detailing, the door handles and the petrol cap, and then it was given a coat of gloss. And here's the base. I've repainted it in black, and I'm just going to add some details with silver weathering powder. And once I was happy with this, I sealed it with some semi-gloss varnish, and then I've masked off the front and the rear bumpers there. And I'm going to be painting those white and yellow to go with the colour of the body of the car. And there, with the masking removed, we've now got yellow and white bumpers, and I just detailed the rear lights and gave it all another coat of varnish. Here's the interior. It wasn't even very dirty, I didn't even have to wash it. I've painted it black. And if you Google the interiors of these old rabbits, you'll notice that a lot of them had these checkered seat patterns on them. So I've just printed out some on some A4 paper and cut them out to fit the seat cushions. And I'm going to use a little bit of watered down PVA glue just to put them on. I apply a little bit to the seats. Then I can put my little bit of printed paper in place and I soak it with a bit more of the PVA glue. It'll get soft and adhere to the seats. And here's the interior finished. I've sealed it with a coat of varnish there. The windscreen's in pretty good condition. It's a little bit scuffed, so I gave it a quick sand with some 1200 grit and then a polish, and it was given a quick dip in the self-shining floor polish. Now onto the wheels. The old ones, I don't really like those rims, so I'll be replacing them with some newer Matchbox wheels, and I'm going to paint the rims on these yellow. And here we go, here are all the parts of our rompin' rabbit ready to go back together. But just before we take a look at the finished car, we'll take a moment to look back and be reminded of what we started with. Our little four-wheel drive VW Golf, looking a bit tatty with its worn out paint job there. It's got scuffed up windows and those wheels have seen better days. So let's see what we can do with it to give it a bit of a tidy up before we use it in our muddy road diorama. And here it is, our restored and customized Matchbox romping rabbit. It's been relieved of that tired old chipped paint job and scruffy looking tampos and repainted with a neat white and yellow. It's had the windows tidied up and the interior detailed, and it's also had a nice new set of wheels with some matching yellow rims. I think it's looking pretty cool now. I do like small cars in yellow, I think they look good. I think the car's looking much neater to go on my diorama now anyway. There's a tiny bleed along the masking line on the front door there, but I'm not really worried about that because the car is going to be so heavily weathered for the diorama that you just won't notice it. So you can let me know what you think of the makeover in the comments down below, and let's move on with our diorama. I'm going to start out with a couple of pieces of foam here, and I've cut them out into the shape I want. I'm going to have a muddy dirt road or track with a mud bank beside it and grass. I'm just using some filler here to build up around my foam. This is going to be the ground. There we go, this is it a few hours later once it's dried. I also want the turf to be overhanging on that bank there, so I'm just going to use a little bit of cork board for this. I'll just take a few pieces and stick them on overhanging the edge of the bank there a little bit. And I'll build up over them with a little bit more filler. Next I'm going to make the tyre ruts for my dirt track. So I begin by pouring on some fine sand here along where I want the road to go. And then I've got my little romping rabbit here. It's before I started restoring it. And I'm going to use it to mark in my wheel ruts. Next I give it a misting with a mixture of isopropyl alcohol and water. This is going to break the surface tension when I apply the watered down glue next. And then it's saturated in a dilute PVA glue. Just using an eyedropper here, and I'm being gentle not to disturb the sand. And this was left overnight to dry. So here it is the next day. It's nice and hard now. I can move on with painting it. I just give the road surface a blast of white primer before I move on and paint the rest of it with a burnt umber. Here we go, there's the brown paint once it's dried. Now I'm going to add some dirt all over it. It's just dried dirt that I've collected from my garden, dried it out in the oven. I paint the top of the diorama all over with PVA glue, and then I'm just sprinkling on my dirt here. And I can tip off any excess. And I let it dry for a little while, and I saturated the whole thing in scenic cement. This is a dilute mixture of PVA glue, water and matte varnish. So here we can see after all our scenic cement is set and our dirt's nicely held in place. Now I'm going to make a little indentation where the car is landing from a jump. So I'm going to use a little bit more sand, just pressing the front wheel there. And I use the same method with the isopropyl alcohol and the watered down PVA glue to set this in place. And again I cover it with some dirt. And once this had dried, I sprayed the whole thing in a nice thick coat of gloss varnish. This will help to make it look like mud rather than dried dirt. Now I'm going to add some grass. I start by painting on some glue where I want my grass to be. I don't want to get it in the ruts, and I don't want it on my muddy bank there. And now I'm sprinkling on some scattergrass. This is a Knock Scattergrass Herbs blend. And once this had dried, I add some static grass over the top. So again, I paint on some more glue. And I use my static grass applicator to apply some Knock Wild Grass blend and a little bit of cow pasture blend. So you can see I apply it until it's run out in the applicator, and then I can knock off the excess, and I repeated this process a few times. And here we go, once my grass is dried. Now I'm going to glue my car into place. Just going to use a little bit of hot glue for this. And just plonking my car in place there. I've only got one front wheel touching the ground, as if it's landing from a jump. I've locked the axle with a little bit of super glue there. And here it is once it's set. Now I'd added a little bit of mud weathering powder before I glued it in place, and now I'm going to add the main mud weathering. So what I'm using here is a mixture of PVA glue, gloss varnish and dried dirt. It's the same dirt, of course, that I've used to cover the diorama with. And I'm just going to paint it on over all the wheels and up under the sills of the car, etc. And anywhere where I think it would get mud splashed on it. So there we go, that's all the steps of our muddy track diorama completed. I just have to leave my mud to dry there, and we can finally have a look at the completed piece. And here it is, our finished Romping Rabbit 4-wheel drive VW Golf muddy track diorama. I figure they may be out at a 4-wheel drive meet on a farm somewhere just after a good heavy rain, and they're having a great time in their little modified VW Golf. You let me know what you think of the diorama, or maybe what you think they might be up to in the diorama in the comments down below. And just quickly before I go, I'll say welcome to all of my new subs, and a massive thanks to everyone for the great comments and likes on my videos. An extra special thanks to my awesome Patreon supporters who help to support the channel. If you'd like to join them and help me keep making videos like this for you to watch, you can check out my Patreon page. There'll be a link in the description below. Thanks heaps for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, remember to like, share and subscribe.
All the way.